Coach, we talked about momentum last night, and something that we talk about a lot, really, but your team did an excellent job in controlling that and picked up a rare win in Syracuse last night.
Well, no doubt about that. I mean, I think, every hockey game has its momentum swings. I feel that there's certain buildings in the league that the momentum swings are just a little bit more intense than other buildings, and Syracuse is one of those. They do certainly feed off that crowd and that energy, and they're always a good forechecking team, and certainly always a higher-end skilled team where their power play and their PK, because their special teams are usually very aggressive and very effective. So when you put all that together, that's one of the hugest keys in that building to try and come out with the 2 points is control the momentum swings. And I thought overall we did a really good job of that. We minimized their chances early 5-on-5, and obviously that third period was very chaotic with the amount of chances generated on the power play and our power play. They had a number of great looks in that second half of that third period off our power play as well. But you know what, we stuck with it, and you never like to see 2 one-goal leads, not end up with the 2 points in regulation. But again, the way the adversity was done over the course of that last 10 minutes specifically, it was good to get the 2 points.
Yeah, important as well. You jump up into fourth now in the division here as we approach the middle of the season, and that's got to be good for the confidence for this group, given that kind of mini slide that you were on to end 2022.
Yeah, I think so. And you look at the schedule and the adversity we felt throughout the first 30-some games, and there's still a number of key players that are missing from our roster. So slowly we got guys coming back, and I think we talked about earlier in the week about the presence of Bernard Docker and Lodin. Heater and JBD just solidify the defense even more and make it deeper, and Lodin adds a skill set that, quite frankly, except for Robbie Arventi, we don't have. And those two players are impact players, and when you add impact players, your roster should improve. So we've been hanging in there on a game-to-game, week-to-week basis, and hopefully we've turned the corner on injuries and guys will continue to come back. But overall, we just got to take it 1 week at a time and continue to play smart and effective hockey, which I think we've done here really the last 2 weeks, because ultimately, even though we got 1 out of 8 points, wasn't dissatisfied with the compete or the lack of detail in the games, because they could have went either way.
You touched on JBD. What, from your perspective, makes him so good, so steady, and so poised on the back end?
Well, he's certainly got a good hockey IQ, and once you get him into that systematic play, he certainly buys into what you're looking for as a coach. And he's so effective on the penalty kill. He's arguably he's our best penalty killer. I mean, Heater's excellent as well, and they just have a good rapport and also a good chemistry going back for pucks. And I think JBD's got another level to him, to be honest with you. He's been steady this week, but if you look at when he left here, and it's a long time ago because he only played 8 games prior to joining us this week, he was certainly at a different level than he is right now. But when you come back from injury, come back from the NHL, there's always an adjustment period, and on top of an injury, right? I mean, he missed close to 8 weeks with that high ankle sprain, but I think he had a solid week. But I still feel, based on being around him and coaching him here over the last season and a half, that there's another level.
And Victor Lodin, you touched on him as well. Just the skill, that shootout goal was quite filthy, as some would say. How does he kind of help your offense kind of gel as a whole group, and your power play as well?
Well, he adds a dynamic that we haven't had really since the beginning of the year, because when you start looking at our skill guys, Lucchini's missed time, Sharky's missed time, and they're a different type of skill sets than Lodin and Robbie Arventi. Those guys are just in a different level, and when you add those type of dynamic players to your lineup, even if they're not on their game, and I thought Lodin was excellent Wednesday night in Rochester, and I thought he was solid last night. But the shootout goal is exactly what we talk about, because those type of players can change the momentum or the game in general with one great play. And that's what you see, and it's the same at the NHL level. When high-end guys are maybe not on their A game on a particular night, they can change the dynamic of a game in one shift. And I do believe at this level, Lodin has that.
And Sokolov as well. He's impacting the game both offensively and defensively. He had a really nice back check last night. What are you seeing from him?
He's certainly got a level of confidence right now. He's had a nice stretch of hockey. Not just the last couple games with Lodin and Ridley Gregg, but even going back to the last couple weeks. And we certainly challenge Soko. Anytime a prospect doesn't get recalled to the NHL, sometimes they start questioning themselves. And I've been in this league a long time, and specifically the third-year pro guys, and Sokolo's in his third-year pro. Those guys, when they start not seeing time or recalls, they start wondering, is there a fit in the organization? What am I doing not to get called up? And once Chartier and Lucchini were recalled, and both very, very deserving based on the first, 25 games of the year. Chartier deserved the first call-up. I think Lucchini deserved the call-up. And that's what we're trying to promote here, is just because you're a prospect doesn't mean you're going to get recalled. And I do believe since those two recalls and a little conversation with Sexton and I, that he has taken his game to another level. And, I certainly like what we're seeing right now.
Couple more minutes here with head coach Troy Mann ahead of Sens and Moose tonight at home. Speaking of prospects, Kevin Mandolese is back up from Allen, where he had some pretty good numbers and is going to get a look here tonight. How important is it for him to continue that play that he was able to establish in the ECHL? And maybe how difficult is that to make that transition?
Well, this is a critical stretch for Mando. We've called him up purposely because we felt as an organization that he went down there, put the work in, had a good attitude, and I think the numbers on his starts reflect that. And at the end of the day, we are in the business of developing prospects. So he's going to come in and play a few games here over the next stretch of hockey, and see if we can get his consistency and his level back to some of what we've seen early in the year. And I go back to the big win in Laval, and there's been a couple performances this year where he's been very, very good, but the inconsistencies led us to make a decision to send him down, and now he's been rewarded with a recall, and now the ball's in his court to come out tonight in a critical win, a critical part of the season for us, and play well, because we still have Bibo here, and Bibo is a great pro and has been a great teammate and has given us some good hockey this year and won some big games for us. So there's always pressure, right? And pressure sometimes is a good thing, but for Mando, he needs to put a good stretch of starts together here to basically stick around.
Earlier you mentioned the injuries. Are there any changes to the timelines of the guys that are out right now?
Well, we're getting some good news on guys like Howerlick. I think that he's specifically with no Wednesday game, that Howie going to be in against Cleveland. He's had a really good couple days. He just hasn't had a chance to practice with the team. So next week he'll get 3 good days in with us and be ready Friday. And Sonia is close as well. Looks like anytime you have a head injury, you got to be very, very careful, but he's progressing, and there's I guess an outside chance we could see him next week, and Robbie Yerventes, who's only played 8 games, is turned the corner, but in terms of his availability, it's got to be a slow process with him, because when you're not skating, there's only so much conditioning you can do in the studio, as Belzy calls it. So for us with Robbie, it's going to be we want to make sure that Robbie Yerventes is ready to play, that he is in for the long term in the second half of the year. So we're going to be a little bit more careful with him. And I guess the other major injury would be Thompson, and he has not really progressed. It's kind of at a standstill for him. So I don't see him being a part of the lineup anytime soon.
All right, lastly, didn't go so well in Winnipeg against the Moose last time you saw them. How do you get a better result and try to finish the week with 6 points?
Well, I think when it comes to us, we need more of the second game 2 in Manitoba than that first one. Obviously we weren't ready to play in game 1, and next thing you know, it's 5-0. They got a good team. I mean, look at their record, and they've got some real good players. I think their lineup's stronger now with Harkins and Essamon, I believe, cleared waivers as well. You add guys like that to the lineup, that's pretty good. It's like us adding Lodin or Sharchi coming back. That's the impact these guys make. So they're coming off a big win last night. I thought they've always been a tough team to play against because they're well structured and they always compete. The Jets do a very, very good job of making sure their American League team plays to an identity, and it's been like that for a number of years. So we'll be in tough tonight, but certainly there's a couple areas that we need to be good at. And if we can get the performance like game 2 where we lost in overtime, where I felt that was more indicative of our team, hopefully we're in good shape tonight. And we got to get a little selfish here because we still are below 500, and that's an important part that we've got to accomplish here in the near future. And hopefully tonight's a step towards that.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck tonight.
Thanks, Footy. Thanks, Joel.